So, throughout history, strong gods have reigned and been worshipped all throughout the world. But what makes them even more intriguing is their vastness and how they used it to win over their foes. It's fascinating to see how diverse deities, originating from numerous legends, with their unique physical prowess and enormous sizes, have caused wrath, disaster, making them highly significant and worth discussing. Don't you wonder then that how big would these lords be? Maybe as big as the Empire State Building, or even bigger. Let's count down the 10 of the biggest gods from all mythologies. Number 10, Quetzalcoatl. We're starting off our list with Quetzalcoatl, an important deity of Mesoamerica that represented health, life, sexuality, and arts such as music and dance. His firm and sturdy strength empowered him to press around 100 tons. For thousands of years, he took forms in two ways, as the feathered serpent, with an appearance that of a snake with feathers and wings. This giraffe-sized reptile had thin limbs, a terrifying long beak, and a whopping 40-foot wingspan. The second was his ability to appear as a human in the form of a warrior with a tall crown on his head made of ocelot skin, and a pendant in the form of a jade. This jade, the wind jewel, gave him the title of god of wind and movement, Ethicati. In the 1400s, the Aztecs made him a cultural hero, given he was an incredibly talented hand-to-hand soldier and furthermore utilized thrown spears and a sun disk which contained the force of the sun as his choice of weapon. Number 9. Kukulcan. Kukulcan has origins in the Mayan lands and closely resembles Quetzalcoatl. Known as the Serpentine God, Kukulcan epitomizes both danger and beauty. He is known by many names, wears the essence of man and monster, and is revered with the sort of respect brought into the world of dread. Kukulcan was originally a boy who was transformed into a snake. As he grew older, it became obvious that he was the plumed serpent, and his sister cared for him in a cave. He became so large that his sister couldn't keep feeding him, so he flew out of his cave and into the sea, triggering an earthquake, and never came back. Kukulcan at one point traveled to the sun and attempted to address it. However, the sun, in its pride, consumed his tongue. After that, Kukulcan chose to travel ahead of the Yucatec Maya rain god, Chalk, assisting with foreseeing the rain as his tail moved the breezes and tidied the earth up. Number 8. Amaterasu. Amaterasu is the Japanese sun goddess who runs the high plane of heaven. She was born from the left eye of the father Izanagi when he performed a cleansing ritual at the river Woto. She can change into a strong monster white fox with 9 tails, with her body being nearly 50 meters tall. She likewise wears around 10 foxtails and white kimono with certain red patches. In its actual structure, it shows up as a little star around 50 meters in width that delivers such a strong intensity that it liquefies even the actual metal and boils lakes. The most renowned fantasy involving her occurred when her sibling, Susanoo, went after her sanctuary in a tipsy fury and killed a few of her priestesses. Troubled by this, Amaterasu escaped into a cavern, and dimness fell on the world. Number 7. Alcyoneus. He was typically viewed as one of the giants the posterity of Gaia brought into the world from the blood of the maimed Uranus. He was the oldest and most eminent of the giants that went after the gods to kill him. He was considered to be one of the biggest and strongest giants. During the principal gigantomachy, Alcyoneus couldn't be killed for however long he was within his home territory, Pallene, granting him invincibility. During the war, Hercules battled with him. As per different stories, Hercules surprised him and injured him. Yet Hercules couldn't kill him until he hauled him out of Pallene, utilizing his extraordinary strength. Number 6. Fenrir. A gigantic wolf named Fenrir in the shadows of Norse mythology, waiting for Ragnarok when he would be set free to eat as many Norse gods as he could. A wolf with enormous proportions, he was already viewed as a threat to the gods at birth, and it became obvious as he grew that he would develop into a Jotun, or gigantic among wolves. Fenrir was a conceited monster when he was young. He took countless chances to demonstrate to the gods his strength and bulk because he enjoyed doing it. He was also intelligent. He understood the gods viewed him as an adversary rather than an ally, and that they would eliminate him if given the chance. Fenrir was so big as a teenager that a river would form out of the drool and foam that spilled out of his mouth. When he grew to his dreadful adult size, his jaws were so big that when he opened them, they extended all the way to the sky. The gods eventually managed to tie Fenrir to a boulder, turning him into the terrifying foe that they had long feared. Number 5. Atlas. The Titan deity Atlas in Greek mythology was responsible for lifting the sky. He was the embodiment of endurance. Atlas is about similar in size to Cronus, about 1,600 feet tall. This makes him among the tallest of the Titan race and considerably greater than Gaia. As a leader of the Titans in their conflict with Zeus, Atlas was sentenced to bear the weight of the heavens on his shoulders. He was the deity who taught humanity in science of astronomy, a tool used by farmers to determine the seasons and sailors to navigate. These duties were sometimes merged, making Atlas the deity who tilts the heavens and causes the stars to rotate. Number 4. Kronos. King of the Titans and the god of time, Cronus is most known for his role as time's destructive and all-devouring force. Following the castration and removal of his father, Uranos, he controlled the universe during the Golden Age. Cronus swallowed each of his children as they were born out of concern that a prophecy would come true in which he would be toppled by his own son. Zeus, the youngest, was saved by Rhea by being hidden on the island of Crete, and Cronus was fed a stone wrapped in blankets. While Zeus grew up, constrained Cronus to spew his family, battled against Cronus, and was successful. After his loss to Zeus, Cronus became, as per various variants of his story, either a detainee in Tartarus or a lord in Elysium. Number 3. Ymir. Ymir is known as the first being in Norse mythology. He was a gigantic being made from water drops that formed when Muspelheim's heat and Niflheim's ice mingled. Ymir can lift things as much as 100 tons. Ymir's body is uncommonly immune to injury, and despite the fact that it can be broken, just as ice, Ymir can make the pieces of a structure reassemble. His strength is more prominent than that of any other ice giant. He was revered as the founding figure of all ice giants. According to Norse creation myth, his hermaphroditic body gave birth to creatures that would carry limitless generations. His trip came to a tragic conclusion, yet no one can feel sorry for the giant because of his nasty nature. The earth and mankind were both created as a result of his death. Number 2. Typhon. Typhon, a terrifying storm giant, son of Gaia and Tartarus, besieged heaven before being vanquished by Zeus and imprisoned in the pit of Tartarus. Typhon was a 2,000-foot-tall giant with wings whose head was reputed to having touched the stars. He had 2 coiled serpents in place of legs and was fashioned like a man from the waist up. He had a beard covered in filth, pointy ears, and eyes that flashed fire. He also possessed 100 serpent heads for fingers. Typhon hurled fiery boulders into heaven in the form of a volcanic demon, and flames erupted from his lips. And number 1, Jormungandr. One of the 3 monstrous children born to the giantess Angrboda and the cunning fire deity Loki was Jormungandr. The gods had to restrain Jormungandr's brother, the enormous wolf Fenrir, and its sister, the goddess Hel, ruler of the afterlife. The venom of Jormungandr was enormous and highly toxic. Odin, the father of the gods, threw the serpent into the sea, where its motions caused deadly storms and tidal surges ever since. The serpent became so big that it could wrap its tail around the world and enclose it. It consequently earned the names Midgard Serpent and the World Serpent. Thor was destined to fight Jormungandr at the end of time during Ragnarok, the final conflict between the forces of good and evil. He would eventually strike him with a hammer to kill him, but he would only live long enough to walk 9 steps away from the serpent before dying from its venom. So who do you think is the mightiest of the biggest? Let us know in the comments. Until next time.